Welcome students to the chapter Chemical Bonding and Molecular Structure of class 11. In this part, we are going to see a new topic called resonance. So in the previous parts, we have learned to draw Lewis dot structure, and we now know what is a bond length, and we have seen that bond length is specific for specific type of bonds. Here in ozone, we have already learned how to draw this Lewis dot structure. In ozone, we have two types of bonds. One is OO single bond and the other one is OO double bond. And generally, if it is OO single bond, the bond length is 148 picometer. And for in general cases, OO double bond is 121 picometer. This has been studied, or there are many studies that shows that if OO is a single bond, its bond length is generally 148 picometer. Double bond inaanengil adu 121 picometer. Clear? So these are the expected bond length in ozone. But they tried to measure the bond in ozone. So using experiments, they tried to measure the bond length in ozone, and the results was quite surprising. Observed bond length was this one. That is, both the bond were of same type. That was 128 picometer. So expected bond length was this one. Bond was expected to be 148 picometer, and the other one expected to be double bond with shorter bond length, that is 121 picometer. But what they got was a bond that is in between both single bond and double bond, that is 128 picometer. So this bond length is in between single bond and double bond, and they have also learned that due to that bond length എവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്ന സിംഗിൾ ബോണ്ടിൻ്റെയും ഡബിൾ ബോണ്ടിൻ്റെയും ഇൻ്റർമീഡിയറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്നത്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് 128 പിക്കോമീറ്റർ, വിച്ച് മീൻസ് ഓസോണിലത്തെ രണ്ട് ബോണ്ടും ദേ ആർ ഷോയിങ് പാർഷ്യൽ ഡബിൾ ബോണ്ട് ക്യാരക്ടറിസ്റ്റിക്സ്. സിംഗിൾ ബോണ്ടിൻ്റെയും ഡബിൾ ബോണ്ടിൻ്റെയും ക്യാരക്ടറിസ്റ്റിക്സ് കാണിക്കും. സോ ദാറ്റ്സ് റിട്ടൺ ഹിയർ. ബോണ്ട് ലെങ്ത് വാസ് ഇന്റർമീഡിയറ്റ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ സിംഗിൾ and double bond, and they had, because of that intermediate position, they had partial single and double bond characteristics. Single bond inde swabhavam undu, double bond inde swabhavam undu. Clear? So again, to conclude this slide, what they were expecting, or what we know from the Lewis dot structure, is that one bond is single bond and the other one is double bond for ozone. But what they have observed is that both bonds are of same length, and also they have partial single bond and double bond characteristics, which can be represented like this. Now they are trying to explain why is it so. That's what we are going to see in the next slide. So we are going to see a possible explanation for this unusual bond characteristics. Unusual ആയിട്ടുള്ള ബോണ്ട് ലെങ്ത് എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണെന്ന് we are trying to explain it. So if you are looking into these two structures, I have named it 1 and 2. You can see that this is a structure which I can draw using a Lewis dot structure formula, isn't it? I can draw this. So here on the left I have single bond, and on the right I have the double bond. But at the same time I can draw this also, this structure too. It's very much similar, but the only difference is that here in the place of single bond I have here the double bond, and in the place of double bond here I have the single bond. Alle, single bondum double bondum angotum ingotum mari. So these are two possible Lewis structures. This is possible where a single bond is on the left hand side, and here the single bond is on the right hand side. Similarly, if you're looking at the double bond in the first structure, double bond is on the right hand side, and here in the second structure, double bond is on the left hand side. So there is the possible explanation is this: electron pair tend to change their position in the molecule to acquire all possible Lewis dot structure. What does this mean? So initially, if the molecule has acquired this structure, this double bond means it is a pair of electron. This pair of electrons slowly move onto the adjacent single bond. So he moves slowly onto the adjacent single bond. So how does it move? I will try to explain, though it is not there for you to study. So what happens is, you can see three lone pair here, isn't it? So one of this lone pair, which I will draw now, one of this lone pair will jump onto this single bond. Now it will become a double bond. So the first step is jumping. Now this bond will become a double bond. That is the second step. Now what happens? There are two double bonds in close proximity. Two double bonds. So he will feel that strain, because two double bonds means it is very much high electron density. So in order to reduce the strain, the double bond here, no, he will jump onto this oxygen atom. Onto this oxygen atom. Now what happens? Here there will be that lone pair. So this double bond will disappear from here, and it will appear as, so this double bond will disappear from here and will appear as a lone pair. Understandable? So again, you can see there are three lone pairs on this oxygen, isn't it? So what this lone pair, as I said, as we already discussed, that's something called known as exchange energy. So electrons always tend to move. They always love to move if there is a provision of, if energy allows it to do that. Clear? So this lone pair, what he will does is, I will draw it again. So this lone pair, he will jump onto this bond. Clear? So he will jump onto this bond. Now what happens if he is jumping? Look here. After jumping, there is only two lone pair, isn't it? There was three. After jumping, there is only two lone pair, and that bond has now become double bond. Lone pair has become bond pair. Now what happens if this has become double bond? There is another double bond in its vicinity. That is quite unstable thing. Atom will not like it, or molecule will not like it. So what happens is, because of that strain, this double bond will jump onto this oxygen atom, which I can draw. So this double bond, this pair of electron will jump onto this oxygen atom. Clear? Now what happens? This double bond is gone. As you can see here, now it is a single bond, and that double bond is transferred onto the oxygen. So initially there was only two pair, now there is three pair of electrons. So this is known as movement of electrons. Clear? Movement of electrons. Why is it moving? Because according to Lewis, molecule is trying to acquire all possible Lewis dot structures. So these are the two possible Lewis dot structures, and in order to attain, and remember that even though these are the possible, there are many possible structures, but these are the structures that is of minimum energy. Possible Lewis structures of minimum energy. So molecule will try to acquire this structure. So what happens? This single bond will become double bond. This will become single bond. After some time, the reverse happens. So when this jumping happens, the molecule has turned like this into the second shape. Then again the reverse happen. It will go to the first shape. Then it will come back to the second shape. Like that, the electrons keep on moving. That is denoted by this arrow. So the structure 1 and 2 keep on changing with the movement of electrons. Clear? So these structures are not actual structures. Why? Because electrons are keep on moving. But we cannot draw a structure where electrons is always flowing, isn't it? So we will represent at a particular moment, maybe this might be the structure, but it is not real. So these possible Lewis dot structures are called canonical structures. Possible. These are not real structures. Clear? So electrons is constantly moving. So it is not having a real structure. But for the sake of representation, for the sake of writing it on the paper, we draw all possible Lewis dot structures and we call them as canonical structures. So 1 and 2 are canonical structures. Clear? Okay. Canonical structures are not real. Canonical structures, as you can see, 1 and 2 are not real. Okay. Due to constant movement of electron pair, none of the canonical structures do really exist. Though we can write these structures. നമുക്ക് ഈ സ്ട്രക്ചേഴ്സ് ലെവിസ് ഇക്വേഷൻ ഉപയോഗിച്ച് നമുക്ക് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാം. രണ്ട് സ്ട്രക്ചേഴ്സും എനിക്ക് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. പക്ഷേ റിയൽ ലൈഫിൽ നമ്മൾ ഓസോൺ എടുത്തിട്ട് അതിൻ്റെ മോളിക്യൂൾസ് അനലൈസ് ചെയ്താൽ ഐ വിൽ നോട്ട് ഫൈൻഡ് ദീസ് സ്ട്രക്ചേഴ്സ്. സോ വാട്ട് ഡസ് റിയലി എക്സിസ്റ്റ്? എന്താണ് ശരിക്കും എക്സിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്? വാട്ട് ഈസ് എക്സിസ്റ്റിംഗ് ഈസ് എ റെസൊണൻസ് ഹൈബ്രിഡ് സ്ട്രക്ചർ that has less energy than all possible canonical structures. അതിൻ്റെ റെസൊണൻസ് ഹൈബ്രിഡ് സ്ട്രക്ചർ ആണ്. ആ ഹൈബ്രിഡ് സ്ട്രക്ചറിൻ്റെ പ്രത്യേകത എന്താണ്? ഇറ്റ് ഹാസ് ലെസ് എനർജി ദെൻ ഓൾ പോസിബിൾ. ഈ കാനോണിക്കൽ സ്ട്രക്ചറിനേക്കാളൊക്കെ എനർജി കുറവാണ്. വൈ ഈസ് ഇറ്റ് സോ? ഡ്യൂ ടു ദി delocalization of electrons. Delocalization. What is meant by localization? Localization means you are arresting electron in one position. അതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് വിളിക്കുക? ലോക്കലൈസേഷൻ. ഹിയർ ദി ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് ആർ മൂവിങ്. മൂവ് അല്ലേ? മൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ അതിൻ്റെ നേരെ ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് വേർഡ്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഡീലോക്കലൈസേഷൻ. ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് ഈസ് കോൺസ്റ്റന്റ്ലി മൂവിങ്. ക്ലിയർ? അപ്പോൾ കാനോണിക്കൽ ഫോംസിൽ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് മൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. ബട്ട് ഇൻ ഹൈബ്രിഡ് ഫോം ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് ആർ മൂവിങ്, ഓൾവേസ് മൂവിങ്. That and due to that movement, for that movement electron requires energy ആവശ്യമുണ്ട്. അപ്പം എന്തുണ്ടാവും? മൊത്തം മോളിക്യൂളിൻ്റെ എനർജി താഴേക്ക് പോകും. That's the reason why resonant hybrid structure has lower energy than the canonical structure, because in resonance hybrid structure electrons are constantly moving and that for movement electron requires energy, so it is giving out energy. By giving out energy, resonance hybrid structure എന്തുണ്ടാവും? എനർജി താഴോട്ട് പോകും. So its energy is lower than that of canonical structure. So its important point resonance hybrid structure ആയിരിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്കൊന്ന് വരയ്ക്കാം. എങ്ങനെയാണ് resonance hybrid structure വരയ്ക്കുക? So like this, with an equivalent sign. അതിനുശേഷം you don't have to write the lone pair here. Just 3 oxygen, then a partial single bond double bond, partial ആയിട്ടുള്ള single double bond വരയ്ക്കാം. And if you know the bond length you can write it, otherwise it's fine. Just drawing this figure is called the hybrid structure, and this phenomenon is called resonance. So that's what we are studying in this particular part. Clear? അപ്പം എന്താണ് റെസൊണൻസ്? ദി ലെവിസ് ഡോട്ട് സ്ട്രക്ചർ ഓഫ് മെനി മോളിക്യൂൾസ് ഡസ് നോട്ട് ഷോ ദാറ്റ് ക്യാരക്ടറിസ്റ്റിക്സ്. എന്തായിരുന്നു അത്? ദാറ്റ് ഇൻ ലെവിസ് ഡോട്ട് സ്ട്രക്ചർ വി സോ ദർ ഈസ് ഡബിൾ ബോണ്ട് ആൻഡ് സിംഗിൾ ബോണ്ട് ഫോർ ഓസോൺ. ബട്ട് ഇൻ റിയൽ ലൈഫ് they does not have, or they neither have single bond nor double bond. What they have is a bond intermediate to them. അപ്പം എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ്? ഡ്യൂ ടു ദി മൂവ്മെന്റ് ഓഫ് ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ്. സോ ദി ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് വിൽ മൂവ് ടു അക്വയർ ഓൾ പോസിബിൾ ലെവിസ് സ്ട്രക്ചർ. അതൊരു എക്സ്പ്ലനേഷൻ ആണ്. ഇൻ റിയൽ ലൈഫ് ഇറ്റ് മേ നോട്ട് ബി ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ്. ക്ലിയർ? അപ്പം പോസിബിൾ ലെവിസ് സ്ട്രക്ചർ അക്വയർ ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കുമ്പം what happens? This double bond and single bond will be keeping on changing, and we will get a hybrid structure. Clear? So since this electron is moving, what happens? Single bond will change into double bond will change to single bond, and this process is very quick and will happen always. If it is happening always, it will appear like this bond is neither single nor double, but it is single, it is double, like that. So partial single and double bond characteristic is acquired, and this phenomenon is called resonance. Clear ആയി എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. Okay, so we will see more examples for resonance in the coming slides. So next is resonance of carbonate anion. Carbonate anion Lewis dot structure വരയ്ക്കാൻ we have learned it. We have learned to draw the Lewis dot structure of carbonate anion. അല്ലേ? If you don't remember that, try to pause the video and try to draw a Lewis dot structure of carbonate anion. Take some time and draw it. So if you have completed drawing, it will look like this. One of the CO bond will be double bond. The other two bonds will be single bond. So now how the electron will move, it is not there for us to study this year. Next year you will study, or the end of the year we will study about the movement of electrons. But for the time being, I will just show it. It is not there for study in this chapter. So let's assume that this lone pair of electron is moving to here. If it has moved, then it will become a double bond. So there are two double bonds here now. This double bond and this double bond. So what he will do, he will move onto the neighboring atom in order to remove that tension due to two double bonds. So he will move here, and now there will be two electrons here, or there is one more lone pair here, and this bond is gone. So this will be the structure. You can see here it has changed into double bond, and this has changed into single bond with minus charge being transferred onto this oxygen. Now next what happens is that this bond here, this lone pair next oxygen, will initiate its movement to here. This will become double bond. He will go back onto the oxygen here with a lone pair. So that will be the next molecule you can see here. Clear? So this single bond is now double bond, and this double bond here is now single bond with lone pair back on the oxygen. So these are the three possible for your seeing. Okay, so these are the three possible Lewis structures of carbonate anion. Clear? So which means that all the bonds here will get a double bond, partial double bond and single bond characteristics, because these structures are changing always due to the movement of these electrons. So which means that this will be in motion. It will move between these three structures, and hence they are called canonical structures of carbonate anion. And what will be the real structure? Real structure will look something like this. So when you are drawing a real structure or hybrid structure, you don't have to show the lone pair, because it will not be the perfect. What you have to show is bond with partial single double bond characters. You can see here one full line, the other one is a dotted line. Clear? And this is the resonance hybrid structure of, these are the canonical forms, and these are. So during the exam they might ask you to draw canonical structures, or they may specifically ask you to draw hybrid structure. So depending upon the question you have to answer. Both you have to study, both canonical structure and resonance hybrid structure. When writing resonance hybrid structure, you are supposed to put it in a square bracket and show the sign. Clear? So so in Lewis dot structure you have clear definition of single bond and double bond, but here there is no clear definition, and all the bond length in a real molecule is the same, like what we saw in ozone. Ozone കണ്ട പോലെ ശരിക്കും കാർബണേറ്റിന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ എല്ലാ ബോണ്ട് ലെങ്ത്തും എന്തായിരിക്കും? സെയിം ആയിരിക്കും. മാത്രമല്ല എല്ലാ ബോണ്ടിനും എന്തുണ്ടായിരിക്കും? പാർഷ്യൽ ഡബിൾ ബോണ്ട് സിംഗിൾ ബോണ്ട് ക്യാരക്ടർ. സോ ഓൾ CO bonds have same bond length. ഈ റെസൊണൻസ് കാരണം and have partial single and double bond characteristics due to resonance. Clear? Okay, we will see one more example. So here we are going to see the example of carbon dioxide. Resonating canonical structures of carbon dioxide. So straight away we will see the resonating canonical structures. So if you are trying to draw Lewis, so if you have time, just try to pause and try to draw the canonical forms of carbon dioxide. So here this is what you will get when you are trying to draw the Lewis dot structure. Now you have one Lewis dot structure. Now this lone pair, he will try to jump into this double bond. So that I will draw onto this double bond. Then what happens? He will turn out into a triple bond. Clear? Now what happens is he will try to jump from here. If he is jumping, he will go back. Then you will get this structure. So this lone pair, if he is trying to jump, this will go back. Now this will become lone pair, like a bond pair, and now this lone pair will become bond pair, and here it will become triple bond, and the triple bond here might have gone back. So in that way, bond pair electrons are moving between the bonds. Clear? Moving between the bonds. This is called resonating structures, or these are canonical structures. And resonance hybrid will look something like this. We have two solid double bonds and a partial triple bond. So the characteristics here is that two bonds that we see must, after calculating using Lewis dot structure, the two bonds are expected to be double bonds, but what we see is a partial double and a triple bond length between double and a triple bond, and it is due to this resonance here. So these are the canonical structures. As I said, once again I am telling you, canonical structures are not existing. They are just the Lewis representation of the molecule. All possible Lewis structures of less energy, whereas the resonance hybrid is having more less energy than their energy is even lesser than the canonical structures due to delocalized electron movement. Electrons are not localized, they keep on moving, and that's the reason for their stability. So resonance hybrid structures of carbon dioxide is this one. I hope you have understood resonance. Thank you.